himself. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? This is DH Thorne here, coming at you live with my best friend Fleshy and all of you guys. We are just getting started, so it's okay if it's a little bit dead. I think we got about 20 people in here so far. So let's give a hearty welcome to everybody. Let's read some of these names, Fleshy, if you don't mind.
We have something in an alphabet that I do not recognize and certainly will not even attempt to read. We have Mysterious J. Goth, Dan Best, Jennifer Bonzi, Wyatt Coverdale, Atropa Belladonna, Sin, Timothy Foster, CM Helnikainen, and Krasinski, and Star Ruby Corsi, sneaking in at the last second. Hello, you guys.
Nice. What's up, everybody? So I wanted to just chill out with you guys tonight. I've got an early day tomorrow, so we might actually make this a little bit short tonight. We'll have to see how it goes. But if we do tap out early, don't be too upset. Usually by the third hour, my voice box is turning into pudding anyway. So I will try to be more... I'm going to try to be more mellow tonight. I'm not drinking anything with caffeine in it, so we'll see what happens.
And I am caffeinated, so we'll see how this goes.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Sounds good. So I figured we didn't really have much planned for tonight. We were going to do stories or like certain things. I do have a guest who wants to be on, but he's going to come on next week. So that's coming up. And by the way, Squiggles says their name is Jade. I think that's what they're trying to say.
Oh, okay. Hello, Jade.
I have a feeling that's what they're trying to say. So we were going to have a guest on tonight, maybe, but they, understandably, they wanted to postpone it till next week because we weren't sure anyway. But he's been on before, Chthonic Tonic, and we're going to talk about
awesome.
Specifically, Hellenistic, Greco-Roman, Chthonic sorcery and everything related to it, which is, caught my attention not too long ago because I was just sort of, I've always wanted, I've never been a fan of Olympic gods and all that stuff, but eventually you kind of have to study the mysteries and the mystery schools, and that does require at least a tertiary glance at those things. And the Chthonic side of things is absolutely becoming one of my favorite subjects. So yeah, keep that in mind. Let me pause this music and find something better.
Chthonic, I'm not familiar with that term. What
yeah,
does that
so
mean?
It basically means of the earth. A lot of people think it means just the underworld, but it means the earth and everything in it. So that means Hades, Persephone, that means even the Titans and Primordials, because they're in Tartarus. Anything that's part of that afterlife spectrum and the underworld, everything in and of the world is the Chthonic spirits.
Okay.
So Hades, Pluto, same guy basically, just about. Persephone, all that good stuff, and it's really really interesting. I think it's way more interesting than the regular Olympic stuff, way more interesting than the Olympian gods. And in a lot of ways, as much as people give Hades a lot of crap, he's one of the less, flighty evil type of gods, believe it or not. He's more consistent, and he's not really, he's just kind of harsh in a lot of ways, but he's not, as we'll say Hellenistic gods go, more misunderstood than he is negative. Even the whole idea that he kidnapped Persephone to rape her or whatever, even that's kind of misrepresented in my opinion.
That one I do have a little bit of familiarity with, and there is fucking 11 different interpretations to that story for every 10 people you ask.
We have to remember not to ever apply our modern moralistic standards to ancient societies, because what they saw as good and evil would have to be different based on the world that they lived in. If you live in a very patriarchal society where there's barbarians that could overrun your community at any time, you kind of maybe favor a harsher, more patriarchal way of life, I guess. Maybe that's the argument people would make anyway. And so this idea that it's wrong to, we'll say, abduct a woman is maybe not as wrong to them back in those times. But I personally feel that it is more accurate to understand the story as Persephone was this sheltered virginal girl that Demeter was more accurately kind of keeping pent up and imprisoned. And, so I see it more of like a... the abduction wasn't quite so rapey as one telling would make it, for example. There's, of course, a really strong current in modern culture to demonize anything patriarchal and just assume that it's bad. So honestly, I think there's room to interpret. Like you said, there's 11 different, 12 different, 15 different variations, and not all of them are negative. And let's not forget, in the end, Persephone loves Hades and stays. So
yeah, which even that you could argue maybe that's Stockholm or whatever. I can't really speak to the myth because I am only passingly familiar with it, but I do like the interpretation more that it wasn't quite that malicious.
And it's not really a literal story, so it can be whatever you prefer, honestly. Whatever the lens of your current, perspective is, go with it. But, it is important to have lessons in these things too, and it's important to see that the ancients really didn't want us to see the gods as infallible. They wanted us to see the gods as in some ways more flawed than we ever could be, because here they are, these, seemingly all-powerful beings, and yet they have these proclivities which really show the whole, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely kind of spectrum. But there's a really good show. We'll get off this topic because I want to save it for him because he's very learned about it, I guess. But the Netflix series Blood of Zeus is quite good. I like that interpretation as well of how things are done. So if you've got the time, it's only like, I think, 8 episodes. It's worth watching. It's by the same guys who did the Castlevania series. So it's got that same edgy kind of anime quality, which I liked.
That actually sounds pretty cool.
Oh, and the game Hades, if you like, remotely like roguelike games, that's a good one.
Oh man, that's immediately just a nope, not up my alley.
The way they did it was good, but I get it.
One of my former partners got to meet the head animator for the Castlevania series, and it was really funny to me. The way he explained it is that the animator was kind of bitching about the director just wanting ridiculous shit like falling 15 stories and getting up like nothing happened, where this art director tried to put in as much shit as possible. Like he hits a whole bunch of overhangs on the way down to maybe reasonably slow his fall.
Yeah, I guess, right? Yeah. I really loved it. The only thing that bothered me was not the current season, but the last season. That last episode was just a little too much for my delicate sensibilities, and it wasn't even that they turned Alucard by, which I don't really think is a problem.
Oh well, now I'm gonna watch it.
No, you'd probably like it, but it was a little too, like, in the middle of the climax of the story. It was like I'm sitting there with my family watching it, because you could watch it with your family, and next thing you know, Alucard's getting pegged, and it's like, whoa.
Oh wait, I think that's the one episode I saw. Yeah, that was.
Yeah, it's a little much all in one shot. You know what I mean? It was like,
oh dude,
it was
that
like
was the best.
No, I didn't like that right in the middle. It didn't really. It was like, honestly, maybe I'm prude when it comes to that stuff, but that stuff just kind of throws me off the whole thing. It kind of felt like artificially inserted, to be honest. It didn't feel.
Well, yeah, it's a strap-on. It's gonna be artificially inserted.
Okay, all right. Well, it wasn't a strap-on. It was a dude.
Oh well, then.
But yeah, no, I thought that was pegging. I thought it was pegging when it's a dude doing. I don't know, dude. I'm not up on the lingos, what all y'all people do.
I don't know. That's different to me.
I'm not judging, but I ain't also studying up on it. You know what I mean? It's.
Okay, yeah, we'll get off that. We'll get to the bread and butter of what we came.
I know you're gonna get off on it, but we can get off on it later.
Yeah, but that's when the fucking camera is off. Or maybe on for my OnlyFans, except I heard.
Everybody's laughing. They get it. Honestly, it's still really good. It bothered me because, you know what it is? It's the pandering feeling to it. Otherwise, I don't care.
Yeah, I get it.
And otherwise, I really don't care. Alucard's such a badass character. He can be whatever he wants to be, and I really don't care. I mean, he was always that. I forget what the Japanese anime term is, but he's always been that kind of ladyboy look, and it always was that, and never really fazed me that he could be either way. So that's not it. It's just, and I also didn't love the other dude getting nailed in the scenes. It's like, here we have this really cool fight with, I forget his name, Simon, I guess. I forget his name. The other guy, the Forge, the I can't remember. I haven't seen it so long. I forget everybody's name. But he's the Forge Master, and he's fighting this other guy. I'm like, this is such a cool fight, and then it's like,
well, hey,
no,
that's just a fight in the bedroom where everybody wins. If you're doing
I guess. But
James
yeah.
Jones is with me. He says, no, pegging is a girl with a dildo.
Yeah, I guess so.
I
Yeah, I
guess
guess
technically
so.
it doesn't have to be. It could be anybody. It's just, yeah, artificial. Anyways, though, bread and butter of why we're here. The people have questions, and the first one I caught is by Mysterious J Goth. How you doing? Says, how to embrace your true self. It's a very broad question there. Um, they say they've been losing their true self to the land of time.
I'm giving you your answer right now. Shut the fuck up. You're trying too hard, man. You are yourself right now. You can't lose that. You're throwing too many illusions in front of you saying that's who I am. Pull all that out. Just be quiet. Just shut up. Don't worry about it. You are not all of these ideas. That's never who you are. You are the awareness within which all of this happens. If you're getting confused, it's because you're telling too many stories. So just shut the fuck up and just let yourself be who you are.
Yeah.
I get that stuff all the time. That is your truest self. I mean, that is your truest self. And I do it too. Believe me, I'm not criticizing you because I do it too. But in a way, you ask that question in a way that's like I need to ask it of myself every now and then. Because as much as I sit here and pontificate about all of these things like I'm some kind of a guru, I never claim to be, I'm just like everybody else. I just maybe have a higher conscious perspective of my own stupidity. Maybe less. I don't know. Maybe I have less because I think I see it. But I've been around this bush a few times. We'll put it that way.
I love the way that you said that.
Which part?
The being more aware of my own stupidity part. That's such a... I love that grounding way of putting it. And
it's not just grounding. Here's the thing, that sounds like self-deprecation, but it's actually in Zen, you know, it's a recognition that it's our ignorance that makes us mortal. You know, it's our ignorance that is our mortality, and recognizing that ignorance is actually the first step to awareness and wisdom, is realizing that you don't know. And, you know, we're so busy trying to say what we do know, but what we do know is exactly what's not true. It's what we don't know that's actually the truth. And we spend so much time. So I am not at all debasing myself or acting humble or anything, but you're right, it is a kind of grounding, but a lot of people confuse the two.
I like what LS has to add to this. They said, reminds me of the Taoist teachings. A pot is useful when it's empty.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And, you know, because I'm an author and a creator, I spend so much fucking time in my own head making up new ways to describe old ideas, you know, and I love it. I'm not complaining. It's not like, I wish I didn't live that life. No.
Yeah.
You know, the only part about this life that I don't like is the fucking social media bullshit. You know, that's the part that I could really do without.
That's the thing, that as a little bit of inside baseball, whenever, you know, we stop rolling and just talking with people who do this kind of thing for a living, I'm just like, just delete Facebook. There's always so much bullshit that happens with it. It's like, well, you can't really when you're running a business. Like, you gotta have that presence.
I do predict that there will come a time, and it's already here, where I only use it to share my material or when I feel like being a goofball. If I do use it, I have a bunch of alts that I use to harass people with from time to time, because I can be a troll too. But honestly, I find Facebook, I can. I find Facebook, Twitter, and all of these big tech sites to be absolutely, utterly worthless for the human condition. Whatever purpose they could have served has been pretty much turned into a subverted effort to destroy human nature and not actually accomplish anything useful anymore.
Even Discord's there in some ways, but at least it's not nearly as bad as the rest of them are.
I'm totally on board with Discord because it's more like the old school bulletin boards that I love, because you have total control over who's there, what goes on in it. Discord does not faze me. I think Discord's fine. Like, if the whole of the internet was like Discords and forums, like, let's bring the internet, like, can we just like reboot to an earlier version of like 2008 internet or something?
Everybody go back to Angel Fire.
Yeah, exactly that kind of shit. I mean, that was the glory days of the internet. I know it's less convenient, but damn, was it better.
Oh yeah.
And in every way. I mean, give me MSN, give me ICQ, give me all that shit. As bad as that was, it was a free-for-all. It wasn't policed like this shit is these days. You didn't have fact checkers, and you could just be like, bye, bitches, and not have to hear about people anymore.
I want to go back to when
mean?
the internet sang at me whenever I got on.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Or screamed at you if you picked up the phone. But, no, for real. And so... Of course, right now there's all this haterade shit flying around because of the BBC article and haters for me and EA. Well, it's really haters for EA, and now they hate me because I said something nice about EA. But they're pretty much ineffectual and useless. My subs were a little bit low because every time the summer hits, the subs go down a bunch. Plus, I get shadow banned for some of the content I make. So I'll have like a lull in my subs. But overall, the drama and people saying my name all day long, calling me a neo-Nazi, which is totally not true. All these people trying to smear me are just attracting new people to my brand, and here I am, like, my subs went up 50% this week alone. Like, I shot up a whole bunch. Book sales went up. Everything's great. So, to my haters, if you are hate watching me,
thank you
very much. Thank you very much. And yes, I finally blocked you on everything because I got my ounce of interest out of you, and now I'm bored. But please keep saying my name. Please calling me names. Please trying to implicate me in things, because you have a lot more people who don't like you than don't like me. And that's cool. Like, that's totally cool. You can try dunking on me all day long. Go for it. Dunka. That's fine. It doesn't do anything, because people who, what's really funny is people who will listen to those people and hate on me. They'll come here to hate me and then hear something that they like, and then they become a fan, and that's fine with me. That's fine with me.
All groovy.
So, and if they are haters, guess what? Click block.
Oh my god, I like how somebody could accuse you of being a neo-Nazi. Like, yeah, that makes sense. He streams with a fucking bi dude.
I mean, I don't like to bring this up, and someone could point out like some kind of, if you want to be super sensitive about it, you could say some shit. My fucking son is dating a black girl that we love like our daughter. She comes over like every fucking day. Like, the idea that I have bigotries or racisms that are legitimate, like, I mean, I know certain people like to say that just because you're, since you're white, you automatically have some privilege that makes you automatically racist. Those people are crazy and wrong. I don't give them any credit at all. But no, you spend 5 minutes in my presence, and aside from off-color jokes that will make anybody laugh, if you have a sense of humor, I don't have any proclivities in that direction. I really don't. So I really don't have, like, it. They really got to stretch and reach and take things out of context to try to smear me. You have what's his name? I don't even want to say their names. In fact, they say my name, you losers. I'm not going to say yours, but there's certain people who shall remain nameless, but one of them wears a top hat and has like 3 teeth in his head. He's trying to get me. He put a petition, I think, or wants to put a petition. He did one for EA to get EA canceled, and he's trying to add me to this. And it's like, what was there, like 15 signatures on it at this point after like a week or two. So I don't want to.
Unchange.org, probably.
Yeah, I saw it, and I'm like, really, that could get taken down because that's kind of harassment. So, anyway, I don't want to dwell on this much more than to celebrate the fact that their hate has only made me more powerful in the end, so it's fine. I'm not a hater. I don't have time to hate. I am literally creating and trying to live my best life. Yes, I'm a little depressed about things in the world every now and then, because who wouldn't be? But I'm a creator, and well, of course, we poo-pooed the word creation last time, but you know what I'm saying. My job is to
manifest.
Communicate. I'm a magical communicator, like a science communicator. I'm a magic communicator. And that is a job that I wouldn't trade. I might get a raise, but I wouldn't trade it. It's a great job. So I'm gonna switch the music up. I love that song, but I feel like we need
Always
to get a
makes me
different
feel
song
like I
going.
need to be wearing a katana, but like also walking through town like an old school cowboy, just really wide like.
Well, that's a different song. You're thinking about the one I started with. That
Oh
was,
yeah,
I had a different
I
one on
can't
just now.
actually hear the music, you guys.
Yeah, I know you can't. That's why I was like, well, now I better tell him because like now it's.
Um,
Let's see, what do we have? I have that Jupiter weirdness that I have like
oh
tuned
yeah,
low.
fucking love that one.
The tuned low Jupiter. Do you guys? Okay, let's put it to a vote. Do you guys want music or no music tonight? Let's put it to a vote before I put music on. Do you guys want background music or keep it off? I'm fine with either. I like the music because it keeps me in a mood, but it doesn't. I don't need it to like run the stream. We'll put it that way. So we'll put it to a vote. I'll wait.
And while we're waiting to hear from them, do you want me to read the next question?
Sure, let's get another question on.
Yeah, we got one from LS who said, recently I've been having dreams where I would give blood to my patron. I do this in real life too, but in the dream, what is the meaning behind dream blood?
Wait, say that again. I was drinking and reading, and my ADHD kicked in.
You're good. It looks like everybody's voting for music. I haven't seen a
They want music, okay.
single person who has said, keep that shit off.
I think it's only when I have it too loud, and that, of course, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do Deep Jupiter. I call it Deep Jupiter. It's that Jupiter track you gave me, but I down-tempoed it a lot.
Mm.
Yeah, Jen says they can take it or leave it. That's a fair answer, because I think it doesn't matter. If it gets too loud or obtrusive, guys, don't hesitate to say. I keep it pretty low. It's like...
Let us know, especially on this stream, since it is your stream.
It's the people's stream tonight.
So
it is. This is public broadcasting.
That's funny because there's somebody, my roommate's mom, visiting us actually right now, and when I explained that I streamed tonight, she's like, "What is that?" And that's exactly how I put it. It's public access TV, but online.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It's public access for the ages, man. It really is. And it's, dude, that is so good. That is really good, because I never really cared for public access growing up because they never had stuff like this. But if they did, can you imagine imagine every Friday night they had like a black magic occult satanic looking, you know, stream on public access?
I'd be fucking putting that straight to VHS.
Right? Exactly. Hell yeah. So you guys are living in the golden age, my friends. You guys live in the gold. All right. So let's reread that question because I was dumb.
Yeah, that was from LS, who said, recently I've been having dreams where I would give blood to my patron. I do this in real life too, but in the dream, what is the meaning behind dream blood?
I don't do dream interpretation at all, really. I don't like doing it because there's a certain expectation that there's a universal symbolism that I'm gonna, like, you know, Freudian or Jung style, like, you know, rip it apart and explain it all to you. Your subconscious is telling you something, and blood usually means, well, it means mortality, it means sacredness. It can also mean a little bit of sexual energy too, in a way, because some people find blood sexy, some people get turned off. Just saying. You know, if you are feeling this, you know, if you're in a dream just disgorging tons of blood for your patron, it may be suggesting that there's an offering that you feel you need to make, a sacrifice. Maybe there's something that is sacred that you're not giving to that energy in your life. But I refuse to go too far through that that process, because ultimately it is your symbolism and it's your dream. You're the dreamer and the dream, by the way. You know, it's so important for you to realize that when you're dreaming at night, you're playing the part of every character.
Oh yeah.
Right? So, you know, even if you believe that you can have other people enter your dreams, they're still created by you, in a manner of speaking. So, you're the dreamer and the dream. Everything that you dream about is a character in the dream, including yourself. Let me ask you a question. How do you do that? How is it possible every night when you're sleeping that you can create a world which is vivid and real, in which the characters have absolutely total awareness of themselves and act realistically? Like, your computer can't do that. Your computer's filled with glitchy characters, NPCs walking into walls, but in your dreams, people behave exactly as they're supposed. Now, they might be different from their daylight version, but they behave exactly like they're alive. And you can't tell the difference. In fact, That's why we call it a lucid dream, is because it's so unusual for you to be able to tell the difference at all. So that should tell you something very important. That is literally one of the reasons why the Aboriginal people from Australia have their dream time, and they understand that may be the real world, because there's no difference. Your waking life is no different. You look around you and go, hey, this is all real. Look at this. That flame's hot. Flesh Priest talks. How do you know you're not dreaming right now? How do you know that you're not dreaming all of this? Well, the higher mystical understanding is that you are. All of this is the dream in the eye of God, and you are that God. That's it. Period. We're all the same being doing that. It's just we see it in a different way. So what are the meaning of your dreams? I don't like dream analysis like that, because I have a feeling, it's one thing to be intuitive and be like, if I know you really well and I can sort of be like, I have a feeling this is what they're trying to tell themselves. But I don't like doing dream analysis. I would rather just tell you to go find it yourself.
Yeah.
And I mean that with all kindness.
And because I don't know, I'm not big on dream interpretation either, but I feel like just like you were saying about finding your true self earlier, where the message, if you care to interpret it that way, the message is clear. You're just diluting yourself with all this other stuff. The answer is really simple.
It usually is very simple. And don't forget, your subconscious speaks to you in symbols. That part's true. But we can take that truth too far. You can overthink all of that stuff. I mean, you can absolutely overthink the meanings of the symbols. If you're asking, it's like you're saying, I know it means something, but I don't want to admit it to myself what it means. And the reason I say that is because if you think it means something, that means you know it means something, right? That means that some part of you already kind of knows what it probably means. You're looking for me to validate it. Maybe you don't know in your left brain what it is, but you're subconsciously, you know what it means. And you're looking for me to validate that suspicion. So what does it mean to you? Go hog wild with it. What does it sound like, man? Maybe you believe it means you got to be all vampire with this spirit and be like, here, take my blood, and I don't know. Maybe it's very literal. I mean, I forget whether it's Freud or Jung, but whoever it was, sometimes a cake is just a cake. Sometimes blood is just blood.
I think that was Freud. I think it's
I forget.
Sometimes a cigar is just a cigar.
Yeah,
and I think that
exactly.
was because he really liked smoking cigars. Like, no, it's not a penis.
Yeah. Dreams are made of the ideas that we have all the time. If you're constantly like, when I used to do stuff for Neverwinter Nights, the single player game, I used to code that game all the time, like all night long. I'd be like the way I write right now. I'd spend 8 hours a day trying to make the modules I'd make, and they weren't just modules. I was trying to make persistent worlds, and those are even bigger projects. So I'd spend tons of hours, tons and tons of time making these things, and I'd learn to code. Yep, and I learned to code to make those things work. The coding, of course, was Neverwinter script, so it's useless in any other. I can't use it for anything else. But I had to learn to code, as the joke goes. And when I'd go to bed, I sort of debunked that whole "you can't read in your sleep" thing, although it's very unlikely. I started coding in my sleep. And I heard from a language teacher I had when I was younger, when you start speaking a new language in your dreams, that's when you're starting to get fluent. And I'm like, oh shit, that means I'm pretty fluent in this coding language at this point. And I had a problem I couldn't solve when I was awake. It was how to code in a time advance thing so that it would take into account a 24-hour clock a certain way. And I couldn't get the math right. And so I went to sleep and I dreamt the answer, and I woke up and did it. And that was exactly what I dreamed. Just like in Back to the Future, when Doc Brown dreams about the flux capacitor, exactly like that. Like I literally solved it in my sleep. It was like really cool. It was like one of the weirdest moments of my brain's, potential ever.
God.
That's not the only time I've done that, but that, like, we expect our dreams to have a spiritual solution to things, not a literal, functional, mathematical, logical, computer program solution to anything. Like, it was pretty funny.
God, we certainly are taking it back. Fucking Back to the Future references now.
I know, man.
What?
Look, everyone, I want you to be honest in the comments. How many of you, if given the option, wouldn't mind rewinding reality back, say 15, 20 years at least, how many of you would go even further? I think a lot of you would, especially if you could do it in a way where it wouldn't necessarily lose, you know, you wouldn't necessarily, like, I mean, obviously if you were abused or something, you don't want to go back to that. But I mean, I think a lot of us would go back to that world. Not necessarily our life, but that world. I think a lot of us would.
I don't know. Well, I'm not one of those people that think I was born in the wrong generation or anything. The only reason I'd want to go back is if I could, like, let's see what would happen if I did this differently. Oh, sorry. But
I mean,
seems like
I was like in a young little whippersnapper infant in the 70s, but I would love just to see it, to be a teenager, like a young teenager in the 70s and an adult teenager in the 80s and a 20-something in the 90s. I would love to experience that, because I almost got that, because I'm very late Gen X. I would love to get the young boomer, early X feel, just to see, because that's when like heavy metal got good, was in that 70s 80s flip, you know. That's when a lot of cool stuff came out. Some of the best movies happened in the 80s and 90s, you know, honestly. So
ooh, that one I find it harder to debate with you. But well, you still have access to all those older movies now, but you have some of the glory of the newer ones too.
That's true, but there's not as much glory now, unfortunately. There is still some, occasionally, there is.
You gotta dig a little bit more for it.
Yeah.
But then again,
and let's not forget, everything's got rose-colored glasses, but I was looking at an ad today for the Alien movie. I'm like, no, you got me on that one. That's a good example of that movie is just as good today as it was when it came out, but it was even better when it came out because nothing like that happened before. So imagine you're going to a movie and you're just like, all right, let's see what this is about. I see an egg on the screen. It's kind of spooky. Let's say, holy shit, nobody does this kind of movie. I mean, that's, man. Jade, my hair was actually like this, but I had the sides on it. It's the same. I always had some version of either long hair, or I did have a bowl cut for like some of my teenage years, which was very embarrassing. But I had a tail, actually. When I was really young, my mom let me grow a tail. Like, I had like regular length hair, and then I had a tail. Like, I don't know, like that's like white trash hairdo right there. Like, but back in the 80s, it was cool. So
I went through the bowl cut thing too. Right around the time that Justin Bieber was big too, I had his same haircut. Like, I'm not trying to be Justin Bieber, I'm just trying to get it long. I want to be hair metal.
And to be fair, like I said, I don't necessarily mean you go back to who you were 10 or 15 years ago. I mean, go back to that era. Like, go back to that world.
Yeah, no,
However you could insert yourself in whatever capacity.
Yeah, that circumstance especially, which I figured that's how you meant it. That I certainly wouldn't do.
Right. Like, hell, be who you are right now, but go back. You know, I don't mean so that you can pick the right lotto numbers. I mean, so you could, like,
just experience.
It's all different, just to experience that world. Hell yeah.
Okay. Oh, hey. Question from Wyatt Coverdale. He asks, speaking of dreams, I have a question regarding Cthulhu. What exactly is he able to provide a magician? I'm not very clear on what most people choose to worship him over, the big dogs like Yogg.
So yes, Cthulhu really is a minor deity in the Lovecraftian universe, and he would be close to, I guess, a cross between, I forget what the name of it is, but the spirits that give nightmares in Greek stuff with Hypnos. You know, he's very much a god of dreams, madness, and mostly, you know, dreams and madness. You know, I'm not saying there wouldn't be anything else, but dreams and madness, and represents the absolute heart of nightmares, the heart of the worst kinds of dreams, is found there. But it's also in just the madness that people experience. This is why every story that involves Cthulhu absolutely ends in some kind of absolute madness somewhere in the story, even if it doesn't mean, I mean, obviously the original Call of Cthulhu story like everyone didn't go crazy necessarily. It was like a horrible monster coming to life, but that's kind of the madness, is this sea monster has been, you know, released, this horrible, you know, dark god of the ancient times. So yeah, and I agree with Strange Realms. Nyarlathotep is, I mean, the big three. Like, I like the big three: Azathoth, Yog-Sothoth, and Nyarlathotep. Those are my, that's my go-to. Like, I like those, but I also do like Shub-Niggurath, and I do like the Haunter in the Dark, and I do like Cthulhu. I'd probably say after the big three, it would probably be the Haunter in the Dark, being kind of like the Watcher, Servitor, you know, monster close to the Shadow Current that I talk about a lot, very close to that. It's kind of like Lovecraft's version of the Shadow. The Shadow People is very much like the Haunter of the Dark, very closely related in a lot of ways. After that, it's kind of a toss between Cthulhu and Shub-Niggurath, but they definitely get along pretty good. Yeah.
Next one we have here is from Jennifer Bonzi. Is there anything I can do to help me listen to spirits of my loved ones who have passed over? I don't even know how to touch on that one.
Yeah, the reason that's tough is because when it comes to loved ones, there's a real problem with any kind of I'm writing a short book. This is actually, I have so many books in process. I've got one that I'm at the moment intending to be free. So you heard it here first, folks. I'm intending for this to be free. It's probably going to be around 10,000 words or less, maybe 12,000. So it's like a small mini book. I may make the printed version on Amazon not free. Like if you want to buy a hard copy of it, I might sell that. But there won't be an ebook version. If I do, it'll be free on there somehow. But it will be something that I will put a Creative Commons on, if that makes sense. So long as you don't alter it, and so long as all credit is given and it's in its original form, you can share it however you want. And it's going to be basically about intuitive magic. And a big thing that comes up in that is trusting your imagination without allowing it to get overrun by wishful thinking and ungrounded imagination. So what do I mean by that is very relevant to your question, because one of the things that happens a lot is when we try to think about our loved ones, because we love them, some wishful thinking can enter into it in a strong way and cause us to be unable to tell if it's wishful thinking or actually a proper channeling. Now, here's the thing with channeling: it's never 100%. It's always through the lens of your memory, the lens of your own identity, the lens of your own wishes and desires and imagination. So you've got to recognize that whatever you learn from that channeling, a percentage of it's going to be wrong, probably a high percentage. Even if you're good at this, you're going to make mistakes. In fact, all too often people fake it, and that leads us down a wrong path. If you want to connect with someone who's passed, it really is as simple as kind of dreaming them. Like I said, like dreaming them but awake. So I'll give you an example. There was this guy in at my family's nursery where I work, and he got cancer, and he died just the other day, like literally.
Oh shit.
And when someone recently dies, it's often easier to get a connection to them because they're still lingering. They haven't really quite accepted that they're done. So they sort of linger, and everyone's thinking about them, so their egregore is really strong. I mean, that's really why you get such vivid hauntings right after a death, is because the egregore is empowered by everybody's thoughts being on them, so their soul is still very energized with that communion energy. And so I kind of reached out with my thoughts after I heard this, and I asked them a question, a prescient question. I wanted to get there, like maybe they know. And I got an answer, like literally in their voice in my head. And I was like, oh, that's cool. But I'm like, that could be my imagination. And just as I'm thinking that could be my imagination, my step uncle, my boss, mentions his name right in that moment. Kevin would have really blah, 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 blah. I forget exactly. His name was Kevin, the guy who died. To me, that was one of those synchronicities that proves that I was speaking to that spirit at that moment, because he too, totally without any prompting, without any reason to, This was like hours after he told me he passed, by the way. So there was like, we were literally not talking about anything that would bring this dead guy up. And it just comes out of his mouth like he was thinking about him too at that moment. That to me was like proof positive that thought I had was from the memory, the ghost of that person. So otherwise, I would have just taken what I heard in my head and stuffed it in my brain for later and maybe remembered it. But right now, it's now more of a prophecy, a prophetic thing. You know, what he told me, which I won't disclose, is something personal. I will keep that in my mind to look for. And whether it comes to pass or not, I'm going to treat it as important because that's what's important. It's not, you know, let's not mistake prophecy as prediction. Prophecy is something different than prediction. It's related. It can often manifest as prediction, but it's not prediction, not exactly. It's meant to be, it's something you're meant to pay attention to. That's why it's there. So I'm going to treat it that way because of that. That was a very powerful moment. Like, you know, I literally like wanted to tell my uncle that happened, but I had to tell it in a way that wasn't magical because they don't know that I do this stuff at all. So I was just like, you know, it's really weird. I was just thinking about him, like that exact moment. You know, I was thinking, I was talking to him and asking him a question, and you know, and my uncle was like, wow, that's weird. My uncle also knows him a little bit weird because I remember
well, he's met
there
you.
was a guy. Yeah, well, he's met me. There was a guy that likes motorcycles across the street at the other business across the street. And he, you know, I had made a joke earlier that day, like, you know, it'd be one easy way to close up for the day if somebody had a really sick accident, you know, down the road. So the road had to get closed off while they cleaned it up. And a few hours later, I'm watching the guy get on his motorcycle without his helmet. I'm like, he better put a helmet on. He's going to fucking die. Like, I love motorcycles, but put a fucking helmet on, right? And he goes down, and not 10 seconds after that, bang! And my uncle's like, "You killed him." like I did it because I predicted it so clear. I mean, I got a bit of a stigma, like a good one, at work for a little while. You know, he's like, "What do you got? The evil eye or something? How'd you do that?" So
it is funny to me how people will. Magic isn't real to some people, but at the same time, you do not say things out loud because it puts magic into the world and will manifest that reality with a simple utterance.
Yeah, I mean, I see it, you know, I'm leaning more and more all the time towards pressing it rather than cause. I'm really starting to, as I get back more and more in my studies in magic, and as I'm finding my own style, reforming again and again and getting better. So for the last year or so, I really kind of hit the books a lot and studied what magic is to other people. And I realized that a lot of it I don't like because it's formulaic and it's patterned in such a way that it becomes like just going for a ritual baptism or some shit. And I'm not saying it has zero value, but I'm really leaning into my intuitive style again because that's when I had the most success and power. And that's what this whole free grimoire is going to be about. And so again, you heard it here first. Watch this space. I might be releasing it like the free PDF. What I'll probably do is put it on my Patreon, which I guess wouldn't make it exactly free, but if you get it, you can share it if you want. I'll probably put it on my Patreon this within a week, if not tomorrow. So it'll go up there first. If you want early access to it, it'll be on Patreon. Then after a little while, I'll put it up both on Amazon for a printed version, which you got to pay for, but then the e-version will be free for the world. Like, you know, if you can download it, you can share it, put it on whatever library site you want, and spread it around. Because I'm proud of it, and it's one of those things where it's like, this is information that is like, this is right in front of your face, so I don't feel like getting paid for it, except I wouldn't mind getting a little bit of money for the work of compiling it, right? So you're paying for the work, not the information in this particular case, really. Like, that's the heart and soul of this one. So
I would love
we'll see. I'd like to do more grimoires like that. I'd like to do a few of those.
I would love to see and it might exist and I'm just not familiar with it. Bandcamp does a thing for music where you can do a pay what you want thing where, like, the song I have on Bandcamp, anybody can go on there and download it freely, but while you're downloading it, it asks, do you want to tip this person anything? That would be cool.
Yeah. I think that's why I like putting it on Patreon at first, because that way if people want to pay for it early access style, they can. But if there's a way to do what you said and leave it that way, I'll do that. Like, you know, maybe what I'll do is maybe I'll leave it on Patreon, but it'll be like however you get it, you can I'll put a thing like, and if you want to support me, make a one-time donation for whatever you think this is worth. I mean, there's probably a way I could do that. So maybe I'll even just put it in the document and be like, if you enjoyed this, if you want to support me, here's my PayPal address, you know, send me $10, you know, whatever you feel is fair. Yeah.
Okay, so moving, we're getting a bunch of questions now, so I'm gonna move on to the next one from Sito, or however you pronounce that, our Croatian friend. Any thoughts on becoming more sensitive to subtle energies or spirits?
That's
you know what?
I
want to chime in with my 2 cents and tell me if I'm off or not, how you would expand on that. I'd say, as far as working with spirits specifically, work with ones that are loud. Work with ones that aren't so subtle. You know, everybody recommends Paimon for a reason, King Paimon. Lucifer as well. Work with something like that to train yourself, or not even so much training yourself as being able to tune into, this is what I'm looking for, before you move into some of the more softly spoken subtleties. If you know what you're looking for, it becomes easier.
This is one of those things where I go against my usual grain, where I'm lazy, and I say practice. And you need to learn how to develop your senses. Not that I want to plug my book, but I will. In my first book, Become the Maelstrom, I emphasize the 3 altered states of consciousness, which is the open state, which is like the gazing state you'd use in scrying, the open state, the empty state, which is basically mindfulness in Zen. It's a state where you're not like dwelling on thoughts, you're fully in the moment without active thinking going on. There it is. And a focus state, which is where you're completely like just single-mindedly focused on one concept, intention, or moment, or whatever. So you need to really get in the zone with the open state and the empty state to properly get that sensitivity. That's a big part of it. So what I'm really talking about is practice meditation. You got to practice meditation regularly, and that meditation should include all sorts of different practices that help you to become sensitive. Meditation, of course, is like a funky word because there's nothing that is really meditation. Meditation means a whole bunch of different things. There is no like, this is meditation and that's not. So unfortunately, it's not really the best word, but it's the only one I got. But yeah, so if you really want to develop those senses, you got to practice them. Now, one of the important things is, as much as before I said your imagination has to be grounded in something kind of like based, it has to be grounded out a little bit. You've got to trust it at the same time, and you've got to utilize it. One of the worst things that any beginning medium will do when they're trying to learn to contact the spirit is they will go through the ritual motions as a pattern, like a cookbook, and then you'll sit there waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and number one, not do anything with your own consciousness, like your own mind. Like you're sitting there just waiting. It's like I asked Fleshy, what color is it? And like he doesn't say anything, and I'm quiet. Instead of sitting there waiting, people expect some kind of like big kaboom experience to happen. They expect fireworks, or they expect something out of Hollywood, or whatever. Meanwhile, they might be having a whole bunch of things that they're not paying attention to because they're expecting something more. They're afraid it's their imagination. So this is what I tell you to do. Number one, if you ask a question, like if you say, give me a sign of your presence, anything remotely out of the ordinary, and by that I mean your house settles and creaks, or the candle goes whoosh for a split second, or the incense swirls around, you'll know, just like in a dream, you'll know that meant something. That's the sensitivity. It's not that you have like this 3D overlay of a spirit appears, and that's what happens. It's, you're an open third eye doesn't mean that you see what's not there. It means you recognize what is there. That's uh, that's why everybody fucks it up. Is they're sitting there waiting for it to be like Hollywood, where like they see a portal open up and a demon walks through. No, the reality is you'll notice a shift in the air currents. Be like, there's a spirit. That's your third eye. It just told you that. So that's part of it. The other part is you've got to be actively creating manifestation mediums for the spirit world to work through. So you need physical, and you need spiritual, and you need mental medium for the spirits to work through. So there's a reason why, if you watch me do spirit communication, there's always a candle or a big fire, often a lot of the times, incense smoke, and other little things that I can count on to be very subtle indicators that there's something intelligent in the room. So I'll look for the candle smoke, the candle to flicker. I'll look for the flames to flicker a certain way in the cauldron. I will look for the incense smoke to flow a certain way. That's the physical side. I will also wait to see if I feel chills running up and down my body. That's another good sign, or a gust of air, or I'll hear something. There's so many different ways you'll hear things, you'll feel things. But one of the most important things that I will do is I will visualize the spirit showing up. I don't wait for it to happen. I do it. I role play it. Like, for lack of a better word, I method act it. I literally give them a mental, spiritual, fertile medium for them to manifest through. So I will begin by talking to the imaginary friend in the form of a spirit that it is, until at some point, as I'm doing both sides of the conversation, I completely lose touch with the fact that I'm running both sides of it. And before I know it, the other conversation side is so spontaneous and natural, I have no idea what's going to be said. And I just trust it at that point. I just take it as fact. And then later I validate and verify it. And if I get 60% accuracy, that's great. 80%, that's really good. So that's what I go for. Instead of saying, bibbidi bobbidi boo, please show yourself, Mr. Spirit, and then sit there in silence feeling like an idiot for a half hour, I will then start going into the process of visualizing the gate opening, the portal opening, the spirit coming forth, all of its minions showing up. Or maybe I go there, maybe I travel to their astral temple or something, or I go to like King Paimon's tent or something like that, or his castle or whatever, and I have that experience with the spirit as a role play. It's okay, guys. The only time it's not okay is if you take that subjective experience too literally and superstitiously and then try to force it onto others. Whatever you experience in that moment for yourself is always going to be valid, even if it's not accurate. It's always valid gnosis. The problem is you get like religious style zealots who will do that, and then they will try to force that opinion on other people. They'll have a communion with King Paimon, and he'll have a crown with 6 points on it instead of 12, or whatever the other guy says, and they'll have a holy war over it. Yeah, and it's like ridiculous.
You become a fucking crusader when you're doing that bullshit over Sky Daddy is fucking right, Sky Daddy.
It's absolute stupidity. In fact, that's part of the reason why we have so much drama in the community at the moment, is because it's just religious crusadery going on. It's just they're doing it over different issues. It's the same stupidity, just wearing a different suit of clothes. And I can't stand it. It's one of the things that just ruins all spiritual movements, is when you have this crusade to purify and cleanse and only the one true version of things. I hate that shit. Like that has no place in my spiritual truth. It has none whatsoever.
If
that's the only truth that I hold.
If only things were so clean like that, but we're fucking human and it's sloppy and messy and people are gonna have multiple interpretations. Just gotta love that. It's fucking human.
And there will be an objective side to it too. The scary thing is the little details are always subjective, but there's always something objective about them, right? So, like, to give a story about like astral projection stuff, one person tried to view me within the astral, and they saw me in, as he said, my study. Well, I don't have a study, but he saw me sitting in like a chair reading a book with a library behind me, like a small library. I'm like, well, I don't have anything like that. But I was studying and stuff on YouTube last night. So that sort of was like a half hit, because it's like they picked up symbolically on what I was doing, right? So they saw the wrong literal thing, but the vague symbolism was accurate. So it's like, that counts. I'll give you at least a half a star for that. So that's how it really can be. And this is how you get an objective truth out of all these subjective kinds. End scene.
Yeah, I was about to say, that's actually the perfect way to end off on it. I like what CM said. He said, my Sky Daddy probably would want me to refer to him as Leather Daddy.
Ooh. Okay. Some of y'all a little too honest about your jangles there.
It's human. It's open. It's honest.
I guess, but I mean, I pick my nose and wipe my ass, but I don't like show it to everyone. I'm just kidding. I mean, I do. I really do.
Welcome to OnlyFans.
Oh, speaking of OnlyFans, did you guys hear?
I heard whispers about it, like only little bullshit. What happened? They're fucking doing the Tumblr crackdown.
They're doing exactly the same kind of thing, where all of the money that they're making right now on the TNA from the thoughts is about to go away. I think it's either October or September. Pretty sure it's October. I think everybody's got to like October 20th or something. And after that, they will no longer allow that content on the site. I don't know if that means they're going to remove all the old stuff or whatever, but only artsy nudes probably will be permitted, just like some other things. Like on, I mean, there's definitely places you get away with showing a nipple now and then, and it's not bad, but yeah, like basically. So, well, I guess, I mean, it's got to be man. I guess only man nip is legal in the world, which is kind of sad, but whatever. Yeah, so and Faustine says, yeah, the bankers are shutting them down because they don't. So for my understanding of it is, OnlyFans wants to, I don't know if they want to go public, but they want to take they want to take funding from investment bankers or whatever, and they don't trust it, or they don't like it because it's questionable content, so they don't want to get attached to something that's basically Pornhub, and so they're gonna basically neuter their site, and as Ajna says, so they're literally gonna go broke over this willingly, and that's, I mean, they're making, I forget how much, but it's something like a fuck ton of money. Like I think they said something like $12 billion runs through that site, and they get 20% of it. So they are literally about to flush a lot of money. You know, all the Belle Delphine lovers and all these other people, they're all going to be pissed real soon, and all the thoughts are going to be, So Strange Realm says China does not like it, and I believe that's probably a big piece of it. China is definitely clamping down on freedom in the West by, economic means, absolutely. So that could be it, man. That could be it. I'm not saying it ain't. Could be.
Apparently, you have until October, and then my OnlyFans butthole videos go capiche.
Yeah, they go kapushnik. But I guess all the other crazy content. So maybe that'll be the time for us to jump into it, because then I could put all kinds of evil, dark-looking stuff on there, and it won't be porn, so we'll get away with it. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll have.
But this is what
we'll have to fucking.
This is what Patreon did.
Everything. I'll break out some of my fucking cryptographic bullshit, where you think like everything's above or everything's on the books is just QR codes and everything, but those QR codes, if you do a little rotation cipher on them and everything after fucking scanning, you're gonna get some creepy fucking video.
I mean, Patreon did this, and of course it was like right after I joined Patreon, or right before anyway, not long before. They purged all the alt content, we'll say, whichever alt you might think of. A lot of that had to go away. A lot of spicy content got axed, and they didn't care that they lost a fuck ton of money. So we're gonna see it happen again.
Okay, so. We got distracted there with that conversation, but this one.
Ajna says big porn is shutting the grassroots movement.
It feels
big
like
porn.
it.
I like that. I like when we call things big anything. Big porn, big aggro, big farm, big whatever. Yeah, big data, big evil. Can we be big evil? Let's be big evil.
Oh, I want to. You can be big. You can be big evil, and I'll be medium evil.
I mean, well, tell me in the comments, what should we be? Should we be big Satanism, big evil? Because I'm not really a Satanist. I just play one on TV. What should we be? Because I don't really consider myself evil either.
Big magic. Big, you know what? Fuck it. I've talked about how my brain shuts down when I'm on camera here with all the things to pay attention to. Whatever I can come up with is not going to be as good as what the people can come up with right now. What should we call ourselves? Big what?
Yeah, let's get everybody in the comments. Tell us what, if you know, like big tech, big pharma. What should the DH Thorne be? What are we? What's the bog? What do we count as? What would you call it? So best comment gets a link to my book so you can buy them.
While we're waiting to hear from those, Star Ruby Corsi asks, when performing a ritual with a demon, I've never actually felt the presence of the demon with me in the room. What can I do or say to feel the presence of the demon?
I mean, I'm just gonna go right back to what I said before. Visualize an attack. I mean, visualize and imagine and really role play it. Let yourself get carried away. So when you think about, I've said this many times before, when you think about how mediums used to do things in the Victorian era and all these other times, there was always a medium and an operator. The job of the operator was to conduct the lion's share of the ritual. The medium was literally supposed to just kind of sit there and vibe to it and get in the zone and become attuned to whatever the spirit or thing was that they're trying to commune with. So if you're solo, you've got to do both parts. That's harder. But the good news is, from experience, the mistake a lot of people make is thinking that everything has to be ceremonial in nature. Christians understand that they can just go for a walk and talk to God. At least the good ones do. They're not wrong about that. That's completely right. I do it too. I will go for a walk and for whatever reason, I'll make contact with whatever spirit. I'm not saying I do it all the time anymore, but it is something that happens to me quite frequently. It used to happen a lot more. Like in 2019, it was like I couldn't even go to the movies without Malphas showing up in the middle of the movie theater. I'm not kidding. But it was literally like that. And that's... Why are you laughing?
Can I interrupt for a minute?
Yeah.
He's one of the funniest dudes to me. DH Thorne pushes his products every stream. The magic industrial complex is ruining everything for us small organic ritual mages.
You know, that's what they all say till they start selling their own stuff. Then they're right on board. Yeah.
So sorry to cut you off. I
love that. The magic industrial complex, dude. That is fucking great. I love that. Forget big magic. We could call it big magic, yeah, but I like that. Big magic and magic industrial complex. Like, I like that. I mean, we could probably, that's it. Like, we should just, maybe for like all our streams from now on should be called like, you know, magic industrial complex stream and just like go for it. Like, I like that.
The MIC? Yeah.
Well, that's what you call it when it's the military industrial complex. It's the MIC.
Yeah,
you know,
okay.
it's the same thing.
Black magic and the BMEC? I don't know. Speaking of which, though,
Black magic industrial complex. That's good. That's a good one too. That flows.
Some of the other ones we got. Big Thorne, Big Black Magic. Big Black Magic was really popular. Big D.
Just don't Google that. Just don't Google that with images, please.
Big Gun, Big Witty, Big Colt, Big Baddies, Big Taboo, Big Brain, and yeah, that was all that I caught.
My goal is to be the PewDiePie of magic. That's my goal.
Old school PewDiePie or new school PewDiePie?
Fuck it, he has 6 houses either way. He's got 6 houses both ways. No matter. I'll take either one.
Flashy priest.
Yeah, fuck it. Let's do it.
Let's do it. It's happening. All right, guys. We need memes. I got to do meme reactions. Yeah. I got to have. We're gonna play some Minecraft, but I guess for us it would be something else. But
oh my god. Okay, so the next week that we don't have a fucking guest on, I'm just going to Maybe I should just have everybody send me the spiciest occult memes they can, and I'll just get you to do a fucking meme review.
Yes, and you can roast me a little bit. Just be a little bit kinder than you would be if you didn't think I was looking.
Okay, I can do this. I can do this.
Fair roasts are fine. Fair roasts are fine. Yeah, I like that idea. No, I think that's really good. I really think that's a good idea for a good stream. I'm liking that. Write that down. Put it on the absolutely we're doing it list, for sure.
Let me just stretch my headphones a little bit. Contort. I'm gonna. Well, fuck you, Cap. It is.
By the way, I like your new animated wallpaper you have in the background of your room there.
What wallpaper?
All those beautiful Star Trek looking alien lights that you have. They're really nice.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, no, it must be my migraine. It's a migraine. It's a migraine, everybody. I'm getting a migraine.
Yeah, no, it's fucking fantastic because the moment that I walk to use the bathroom and forget that it's on, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna be blinded because those are actual fucking lasers.
Karn says, make magic great again. I like it.
Oh my god.
But I can't be Orange Man. I'm not orange. What would I be, Pale Man?
Hey,
I don't know.
You know what?
I'm not even that pale because I got purple light on me, so I don't look pale.
I fucking hate him, but just for the joke, I'll be the Orange Man.
All right, Orange Man. Orange Man rad over here.
It's gonna be huge.
I like it.
Okay, so I'm sorry for fucking sidetracking us. Did you conclude that question?
I don't remember. I think I was about to start ranting, but I think I was getting on to the point where I was describing how people used to do things, and if you're doing it for yourself, one of the big mistakes that people make is they over-ceremonialize it. I'm not saying you can't or shouldn't ceremonialize it. It's that people think it's like a fucking... they think it's like a fucking cheat code or a combination lock. You know? Like, let me tell you guys... For those of you who really want help, I'm really thinking my newest grimoire is really going to fucking help you guys. I really do, because I just spent the last couple of years going from my intuitive style, learning more of the trad shit, learning what I like about it, learning what I hate, and you know what I'm deciding? I'm a flaky motherfucker who flip-flops. I guess I got air energy somewhere in my mind, but right now... It's all about that intuitive magic, and I can't wait to share this because it's probably not that groundbreaking, but for some people it's probably going to change their life.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not just saying that like big magic trying to make money. It's like I haven't seen anybody say this stuff exactly. I've seen close. The closest thing would be certain inflections of chaos magic probably are very much like what I'm saying.
Well, that's kind of the whole thing that we talk about sometimes, is that really... You know, a lot of the weeks we're talking about the same stuff most of the time. It's just kind of reiterating, and sometimes somebody can hear the same thing over and over again, but it will not get through. Sometimes you just need to put the right twist on it for it to really hit through and give them that gnosis. And so that's the important part, is just, you know, finding that new way. And, super chat from Jay Sauber there. No comment like normal, just nice tip.
Just sharing the love. We love you, man. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Fucking appreciate you.
I appreciate that. Yeah. I see the mods took out some random whackness that was going on. I don't know what that was all about.
I don't either, but I trust Camilla's judgment.
Yeah, it could be a hater, or it could just be, you know, what was that one night when we had somebody it was like a troll website that found like a TV station or something.
Like just fucking porn bot.
It was funny as hell. Like I wanted to. I know.
I was like happy to have it because it was just fucking comedy. I'd never seen that on YouTube in a fucking live stream. I did not. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. So where I was going with that to finish off was, people think magic is too mechanical. And that's got to not be changed, because that's not the... I won't say it's the wrong way. What I'm going to say is the most mechanical formulaic magic that you know of was once upon a time an intuitive idea. So I'm cutting out the middleman. I'm going to direct you to, and unfortunately there's no way to learn to be intuitive. You've literally just got to do it. But intuitive magic, I think, is a key, and I'm looking forward to sharing it as a free grimoire, and hopefully people are going to like it. So yeah. Well, semi-free. I don't know what would you call that, Fleshy? Free for a limited time, or free after an initial bump in early access? I don't know what I'd call that. Do you think that's ethical of me, or should I just release it free from the beginning?
I was reading it. I was reading comments. What was the plan you were outlining?
The idea of releasing this grimoire, you know, as a initially, if you want early access, it'll cost, or if you want the printed version, it'll cost, but otherwise it will be free Creative Commons.
No, I mean, I think that's totally fair. A lot of people do that anyways. Like, say, I can't tell you how many creators I see where the whole purpose of their Patreon is you are not getting anything exclusive, really. It's just you get to see my videos before anybody else does. You get them 2-3 weeks ahead of time, and after that they go for anybody to see. So it's early access.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
it's kind of like
it's
kind of like pay your own price, you know, or nothing. Yeah, yeah. And I'm fine with that, especially for, so this is only going to be like maybe 10 or 12,000 words, which to me is like a booklet. You know, that's, I don't know, like, what do I have here? I have I have Sticks, Hex, and Hammers Goetia here, and I think it's, so that's...
how to summon leather jacket, how to banish shirts.
I love that, man. You gotta give him credit for being a success. 106 pages, right? So it's the Ars Goetia, 106 pages. Right now, I think what I've got is like 40 or 50, but it's also a bigger, it's like a 6x9 instead of whatever this is, like 3x5. So it's probably comparable in length to this, and he gets like, I don't know, $10 for the printed copy, I guess. So, I don't know. We'll see. I want to offer it both ways, for free and for, I want to make it like you said, like, you know, in early access, and then pay what you want, and then the paperback will have to be whatever paperbacks cost, because that's just,
yeah,
I can't give that out for free, guys. That costs me money to make, and I might as well make a few bucks.
You gotta cover expenses.
Yeah, that I gotta make something on that. I just have to.
So I'm looking at some of the next questions coming up, and I feel like any of these could, well, some of these can make whole video rants on their own, so I am going to go ahead and introduce my little friends, the pentagrams. We'll use these as the tokens for,
okay.
If you really like a question, then I'll take one of those pentagrams away, and we'll keep talking about it. But otherwise, let's say 10-minute time limit. We're still fairly early in the stream. Be a little bit more generous with
let me see, how much, what do we got left? We've got, we've got about 45 minutes left, so,
okay,
because we're going to end a little bit early tonight, guys. So let's do what you're saying. Let's do that.
Okay, so our first one is from Gogo. This is actually 2 questions wrapped up in one, but yeah, I think it's quicker. So Gogo's 2 questions are, can demons help a person become very rich? And are my spirit orbs a mistake on camera?
Okay. So number one, I refer you back to the very last video that I did. So go to my channel at any point, make a new tab open or whatever, and look at my last video. It's the Open Secret of Magic. Originally it was a different title, but I feel like I'm getting better hits with this new title, so if there's any confusion, try to understand. It's the last video that I put out. Should be the very last one that wasn't a live stream. And if you watch that video, you will understand the way I see magic working. When you understand that, you will see that you're not causing anything to happen. You are manifesting a timeline of reality in your life. So it's not just that a demon, any spirit can potentially help you manifest riches and prosperity. Specifically, though, it really depends on how you apply things, right? If you, you know, it's kind of like, you know, if you become a really good artist, you can become rich. You don't necessarily have to become a banker. You know, so fortune can be found through almost any path. Honestly, what I would suggest is instead of looking for riches, I like prosperity. Prosperity is a safe idea because it doesn't necessarily mean just materialism. It means prosperity, and prosperity means more than just, you know, money. What it means is liquidity in your holistic mind, body, soul experience. It means that you are happy because you have enough. You have abundance, but it's not necessarily money. It might just be like, hey, I'm having no real hang-ups with, I can do what I need to do and I'm comfortable and all that kind of stuff. So abundance, prosperity, all good words to use in magic. And so don't think of it like you're doing magic to get paid money. Think of it like you are removing whatever blockage it is from you seeing the abundance in your life. And I say this only because it's not that you're not going to have like mysterious drops of wealth pop in your life. It's that because you potentially will. That's not why. It's because people are too materialistic, and I don't mean money materialistic. I mean they take for granted the bigger picture, and they don't realize the more important holistic understanding of reality, which is astral and material combined as one. So when you're working with any spirit for prosperity and abundance, that should always be more than just wealth. And here's the secret to wealth. You want to know what the secret to wealth is? Stop trying to be wealthy. Flushy just suddenly like froze. You can be wealthy, but you won't necessarily be happy unless that's really what drives you in life. That's not really the point. What you should be doing is what my favorite guy, Alan Watts, says. Find something that you really enjoy to do, that you're better at than most other people, if not everybody. Find that thing, that one thing that is absolutely your goal, your path, your passion, and find a way to monetize it. There is nothing wrong with that. Find a way to monetize your passion and make it well you might. Now, so I am a perfect living example. I monetized my passion, which is creativity, spirituality, magic, all of those things. I monetized that to the point where I can work a part-time job just to make a little stability so that I don't have to worry about, like, you know, maybe I have a bad month with sales. I don't have to worry about it. I can quit any job I want, anytime I want. I can work a month here and not work a month there. I'm not rich at all. I'm still basically like minimum wage in that ballpark, right? Maybe a little bit more. Like, I'm not impoverished, but I'm absolutely like, you know, I'm not food stamps or anything like that, but I'm definitely more of a McDonald's than a fancy food place all the time. But we still do the fancy food place because my wife and I can be foodies. Anyway, point is like, I'm not making a fortune. I don't own 6 homes. You know, I wear stainless steel jewelry, not silver. Okay. So, but I'm comfortable.
You're still at the point where you got to consider if the money is worth spending the thing on.
Right. And I have a substantial savings because I had a really good couple of years because I worked 2 jobs full time, this and my other job. So I basically had 2 paychecks for a little while, and that's how you save money. You know, I was working like 80 hours a week, like literally. It was like I had no sleep. It was retarded. Like, it was crazy. So instead of, you know, trying to seek the money, go where the passion is. Maybe you like horseback riding, so become really good at it. I mean, you don't necessarily have to get money for riding the horses. Maybe you could teach people to ride. Maybe you could go work at a stable and be really good at it. I mean, find your passion and live it, and you will be paid for it enough that you will be compensated. That's all you need to look for. And the rest will flow naturally. One foot will follow the other, and you will not fail, I promise you. Too many people go to school for a job instead of going to school for a passion.
Oh, fuck yeah.
If I had my druthers, if I was rich growing up, instead of going to school for whatever, because I didn't go to school, I barely passed high school. Instead of going to school for something specific that was like to make money, I would have gone for physics and astronomy and metaphysics, whatever they would have, like, you know, mythology, I'd be all over the map. I'd be studying all kinds of shit. And they'd be like, well, you can't get a career with this. I'd be like, I don't care.
Well,
I really don't care.
There's that thing, because I saw a lot of people I know take the college route and try to get something that they thought would pay, and then for one reason or another, just it turned out that field looked good at the time, but then it fucking dried up by the time they got a degree or whatever. So now they're fucking sitting here with a nice degree that they can't use and shit tons of debt. It's like that thing that Jim Carrey says that I think is important to think about sometimes. It's that you can fail making money too. So like you could fail at all things. So might as well attempt.
You can fail at life, but be a success by every metric.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying be impractical and be flighty about your life. I'm not saying go get like a useless degree and think that that's fine. What I'm saying is follow your passion, not degrees and diplomas and careers.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna follow that stuff, trades, man. Like, you know, trust me on this. Trades.
Yeah.
That's where it's at for most people, because college is a ripoff.
Find
Just
somewhere
saying.
where certificates are more important than fucking degrees.
Yes, like a 6 months trade school will take you much further in this world. I promise you. I know that there's a lot of people who do fine. I'm just saying, you won't have the debt, you won't have the bullshit. You can be making money, and usually trades are things you can enjoy doing if you're smart about it. You know. So anyway, I don't want to get too far into giving you like life advice, because you know it's different for everybody. Some people have to be lawyers. It's just some people, you're an accountant. That's what you are, and that's what you want to be, and you love it, and that's what you're gonna. That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. We need those people, but we also need people to fix faucets. And if you enjoy tinkering, you might like faucet fixing. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, it's that,
like
that whole fucking thing of, I've heard this story a million times everywhere, of like mom driving their kid, or like walking through somewhere and pointing at a janitor and like, oh, that's why you better study well and get good grades, because otherwise you're gonna end up just like him. Motherfucker, that man has a family that he's happy with, and he's doing something that he's passionate about and has no debt compared to the fucking people with degrees and shit who are, you know, doing well off but so in debt. Just fucking okay. This is becoming a rant. You want to switch?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I want to get to that. I want to get to the little doobly dops on the camera thing too, because that's like a part two. But CM Nikainen says, oh yeah, magically speaking, doing what you are passionate about will make you way happier. That being said, you may not get money to do what you want. I mean, I'm going to say yes, you're right, but I slightly disagree. You just might not be getting money yet. If you guys realized how little return on investment there is for how much energy I put into this, you'd think I was crazy for doing it. Look at my super chat tonight. $4.99. No offense, Jay Sauber, you're always awesome. But that's not. Am I making a living off of $4.99 in 2 hours? No. So it's not really about the money. I'm passionate about doing this. I'd be doing this anyway, right? So the fact that I make money on it is like, I know I'll succeed eventually. I'll know that because you guys love my content, the next time I release a book, I will sell a couple hundred copies in the first month or two without even having to go crazy about it. It will just happen because you guys will know, and a lot of you will buy it, right? And then Amazon will take care of the rest because I'll have that good initial bump. So I'll be good, right? So I'm not worried about the money so much. Well, I'm not saying I never do. I'm just saying I don't really, because it's pretty much guaranteed at this point. So I'm comfortable. I can say what I want, and that's the goal. That should be everybody's goal. Whatever you're passionate about. I don't care if it's knitting, whatever it is. You know, you can become good enough at it that people will pay you. Look at Etsy, right? My wife part-time adds a sizable, you know, extra little nest egg pile every couple of months. We put a couple hundred or $1,000 in because of Etsy. We don't live on the hog with that. That goes into future. That's our future. Anybody can do this stuff. You don't have to be special. Everybody's got a gift that they can sell. Everybody does. I guarantee it. Anyway, let's go on to that part two. I don't know if we ran out of time already or if we're getting close.
I honestly didn't think we'd go over on this one, so I didn't even start the timer.
Oh, fuck a doodle do. Give me like a 2-minute timer for the doobly dobs on camera.
Okay, I will do that. So, do you remember the second question?
Yeah, it had to do with orbs on camera.
Yeah,
Are they like a mistake or
are
are
they
they
a
real?
mistake or yeah, I feel like there's more to that, but that's what they wrote. Are the spirit orbs a mistake of the camera?
Yes, they are. That's all they are. They are literally dust motes that are caught in the lens and the lighting of the camera. I can fake it anytime I want. They're easy to do. I've seen people do it and claim that they weren't. Orbs are always a trick of the camera. Now that doesn't mean that they don't mean anything though.
Yeah.
So we have to recognize the as above so below side of things. Yes, they are just motes of dust being caught in the whatever illumination there is, and because of the focus they look like big blobs of light. They're exactly the same thing as those rods that they'd catch on the old films that they said, what kind of UFO is that? It's a fucking fly buzzing in front of the camera in a straight line. It's not a rod that's corkscrewing through space. It's just a trick of the camera. I can make it any time. So, but that doesn't mean that what you're seeing has no meaning.
Yeah,
it just means don't assume it has meaning because it's there.
It's like
You
we
know,
like to
sometimes
say,
a cigar is just...
it's all
Go ahead,
bullshit,
Fletcher.
but bullshit can be useful.
But yeah, well, that's an Eddie saying now. Yeah. So it's like a cigar is sometimes just a cigar. Sometimes an orb is just dust. Someone saw on my lens the other day, like, Fleshy, Thorne, your whole place is filled with orbs. You must be being haunted right now. No, actually, there was a spider that ran a web across my camera that I didn't see, and I cleaned it off, and now it's not doing it anymore. Like, relax, guys. It's not always something spooky and woo, except when it is. And telling the difference is difficult. This is where the sensitivities that you have to learn come into play. There are times when you're doing a ghost hunt, for example, perhaps, as an example, that you're in a place, it's an old dusty building, you're gonna get orbs. You're gonna. But you might ask a question, and an orb is flickering across the thing, goes bloop at the that might have been something.
Mm-hmm.
So this is why we call it a manifestation medium.
There's the
You
2-minute
got a
timer.
time? Okay.
Closing thoughts.
That's why they call it a manifestation medium, because it's a medium for the manifestation to occur. Like the smoke out of your incense, that's a medium for the manifestation. Don't confuse the smoke for the manifestation. Good.
Okay. Good wrapping. I gotta take a step away to use the bathroom real quick.
Oh, mother humper.
I think you're gonna be busy with this next one for a minute, though.
Oh shit, am I gonna rant? I'm already getting this like sore throat.
I think so, but then at the same time, I expect that maybe you won't, because every time I think you're gonna rant about something, when I verbalize it, you don't. So we'll see.
Maybe because you're calling my attention to it and I'm feeling self-conscious. You're ruining my show.
Yeah, maybe that could be it. What is my purpose here? To ruin the show.
I'm definitely less edgy with you around. I'm way more bouncy. When I'm by myself, I'm like...
And I'm sure there's some people that hate me for that, but...
You just gotta live with me.
Just live with it, everybody.
Buzz, buzz.
Gimme death or freedom. Love your name. DH, what are your thoughts on holographic reality? Mystics seem to have known this for thousands of years, and science seems to back this up.
Oh.
All
right.
I'll be right back.
My very last video, once again, harped a lot on implications therein a little bit. Being a non-dualist that is mostly interested in the Advaitin ontology of non-duality, that's the one I not adhere to, but the one that I kind of find the most truth in. Seeing as I've had a kind of, ego death moment and had an awakening to my non-dual self at one point, that's the one I really like. It's not more accurate, it's not less accurate, but it's the one I like best. I think that of all of them, it's the easiest to comprehend by someone who doesn't want to study. You can read Neoplatonism and get a pretty good idea too. but that's much more complicated. Advaita Vedanta just tells you straight up, you are everything. It tells you how, it tells you why, and it puts everything into relationship so that you can figure it out. Now, one of the important components of non-dualism is the idea that reality is illusory on some level. That doesn't mean that there isn't a true reality at all. It just means that the reality we think is real is not real. And the scientific version of this comes in a couple of flavors. You have the simulation theory, which I think is bullshit. Like, I don't think we're being simulated by a big computer. I just don't think so. I know that that's quite likely, actually, according to the math, the way that they see it, just for statistical reasons. But I don't buy that at all. I don't think we're living in a literal matrix with Neo and machines running our lives. No, none of that shit. What I will say, though, is that the reality that you see all around you is nothing more than the combination of the astral truth and the material truth in such a way that you see the symbolism and you reify the symbolism as the thing. So you need to look up a word called reification. It's one of the most important words that I've come across in years. And it is the tendency for people to take something that is unreal, like a concept, and turn it into a literal thing. To take it from just an idea. Hold on again. Shut up, Dice. Saying I'm talking non-dualism. I do want the cheesecake. Instead of taking things as literally real, recognize that they are more like shadow puppets on a wall. For those of you who don't know, look up Plato's cave, the analogy of the cave. The allegory of the cave, excuse me. Imagine that you are someone who has been trapped in a cave like a slave. From the day you were born, you've been chained up to this wall and forced to look only straight ahead. Hypothetically, just accept the scenario, don't overthink it. Forced to look only straight ahead. You can't turn your head left or right. You got blinders on. You can't see anything but straight ahead. And on the far wall, there's just a flat wall. Behind you, on a raised platform, is a big fire or a light or something. And then there's a bunch of other people that you don't see who are using shadow puppets to project onto the wall in front of you a play, if you will. So the only thing that you can see is that projection. That's all you can see. If that's what you were born into, then that becomes reality for you. That's not really real. That's an illusion, but you reify it into reality. You turn that into reality right there.
You must be talking about Plato's rave.
Yes, I am. It looks like you're in it, actually. So that analogy is the impetus for the seeker to recognize that this reality is also a projection of something else. This is why Gnosticism has the idea of the monad or source and the demiurge. And the demiurge is the puppeteer making the shadow puppets, and you just so happen to be one of those puppets. It's made of shadow. Yes, that's what you are. And the demiurge acts like it's your god. Sometimes a good guy, sometimes a bad guy. There's different branches of Gnosticism that take it different ways. Sophia can be good or bad. So this projection of reality from the scientific side, if we're going to be a materialist for a minute, nothing that you see in front of you is really literally real in the sense that you think it is. I use this object all the time as a prop, this green lighter. This green lighter is not a green lighter. Green lighter is an idea that we overlay on top of the substance that is there. This is just a collection of energy in the form of atoms and molecules, and they're wiggling around and they don't even stay still. So you can't even say that this is the same lighter now as it was a second ago. The pattern's completely different every picosecond. It's completely different. The atoms move, the electrons are flying around, the fields are fluctuating, but we see it all as the lighter. But the lighter is just a word. It's a reification of the shadow of the ripples in space-time, if you will. And where those ripples overlap, you get a particle. So if you understand quantum theory, you understand that the quantum field, or the ether, if you want to use a better term, I think it's better to call it the ether. The ether vibrates along multiple dimensions, not just up, down, left, right, and time, but probably 10, 11, 12, 21, 200, whatever dimensions. And reality vibrates in all of those different directions. So for every field we have, you have the Higgs field, you have all these different fields, that's a direction of wiggle. Okay, a dimension of vibration. And that creates a particle. And a particle is when two or more field ripples overlap. So when you get enough probability waves overlapping, you get a very high probability, and that's a little bump that's like, you know, Fleshy, you know about sound waves, how when they overlap, you get a really dense,
constructive and deconstructive interference.
Exactly. So when you get that constructive thing, you get that much stronger pulse. That's your particle. And it's not even the particle itself. That's where you're going to find the particle. Most likely.
I just felt Eddie like perk up from somewhere.
He probably did.
He doesn't know why, but...
Well, we were talking about that recently, me and Eddie, in private, because we were talking about what would happen if you could pump enough energy into gamma rays. Would it become a particle? Like a subatomic particle? Like, could it become a gluon or something? And I think so. I think that when you get gamma rays at a high enough frequency, then, you know, meaning they're tightly enough packed, there is no distinction anymore. It becomes just a solid. It becomes an object, like hard light. Anyway, so that's the materialistic understanding. But what you're seeing in front of you then is an illusion. It's a hologram. It's literally a hologram in the most literal sense of the word. It's like the holodeck. This thing is not, like, I'm not touching anything. That's, when I was a teenager, that blew my mind to realize. Nobody told me that. I was just thinking, like, well, if an atom is mostly empty space, what the fuck am I touching? Because I'm not touching anything. Why can't my finger go through it if it's all empty space? What do you mean the nucleus of an atom isn't really full of anything either, and that's made of even smaller particles? What do you mean even those small particles aren't really things? They're just ideas. What the fuck is going on? And then I realized I'm not touching anything. No matter how hard I squeeze it, I'm not literally touching it. I can get the fields of force to overlap such that they merge. You get fusion, sure, you can get, but that's not, there's nothing physically there. It's all something intangible that exists. The tangible is an illusion, complete and utterly undeniable. Yes, Max, that is an X-Man thing. That is Max Avery. Thank you for the $5. That is an X-Man thing. I do have the ring. It's this one, but it's the Blacklight ring. I am not the Green Lantern. I am the Black Lantern. So, unfortunately, all I can do is cast shadows. See, look, I'm casting a shadow. That's it. I can't make hard light. I can make hard shadows. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. Bring it back to the Plato's Rave thing.
Yeah. So. Yes, I am not just on board. I am not just someone who talks about the hologram. I am literally, that is a cornerstone of magic, because you realize that all of this is, for lack of a better way of describing it, a dream. And the dreamer and the dream are one. You have the ability to dream lucidly. And the mistake is thinking that this reality is so real that you can change it. I refer back to my last video. Okay. I refer back to my last video where I referenced the Matrix and the little spoon kid. And Neo learned that there is no spoon. That is one of the most important scenes in that movie, because that lays out something that, if you understand it, all of this magic, everything, your own existence, your own fucking identity doesn't exist. And when you realize that, the holy shit awakening moment is right around the corner.
That was almost so perfect. That just ended so naturally. That's actually fun. Oh, fuck. Oh,
I should be like a motivational speaker for Magic. That's what I should be. I should get up
I
on a stage and be
like I
you know,
said,
make my hands really big, you know.
like I said, you just need the fucking chill step underneath you. You'll be the next Alan Watts.
I like what you said, the Alan Watts of Black Magic or something like that. Yeah.
Yep. It's yeah, what is it? You're just the Alan Watts for people who like demons and shit. Demons and
Basically.
guns.
And you know what? The outcome of our philosophy is almost the same. I mean, I was listening to Alan Watts today. I'm like, that's what I've been missing for a while. I've been so in tune with my dark side that I missed some of my, not necessarily positive love and light shit. There has to be a balance, right? One of the reasons why I go so hard with Left Hand Path is because it allows me to balance the good and the evil in a way that it's like the shadows are integrated rather than avoidance behavior. But ultimately, personally, anyone who gets to know me will tell you, yeah, I can be a dick, but I'm a very soft-hearted person. I care too much. And that's one of the reasons why I am so dark, is because I look at the world and go, shouldn't be like this.
Oh yeah.
I'm too idealistic, So, I'm really, good guy, bad guy is what I am. Like good guy, demon. Like that's kind of like what I am.
Anti-hero.
And I guess, but there's definitely a part of me that is learning to say the world is toxic and I don't have to save it. Just like I don't have to save a toxic person. At some point it's going to literally be.
Yeah, it's that quality of I don't have to save everybody.
Yeah.
That fucking Batman moment from not Batman Begins, the most recent Batman series by Christopher Nolan of I'm not gonna kill you, but I don't have to save you.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm not a good guy. I never claimed to be a good guy. I don't mean that I'm evil. I mean that I am neither. And of course,
I know who that is.
Yep. I'm not saying I'm a good guy or a bad guy. I'm literally saying I'm just a guy. I don't believe in good and evil at all. I believe, you can call it moral relativism if you want. I find that term kind of annoying because it's given such negative connotation. That doesn't mean that I oppose goodness. It doesn't mean that I have ethical, rational reasons why I prefer what we would call the golden rule. I treat people how they want to be treated because that's how I want to be treated. With exceptions. If you're a toxic douchebag like my current haters, I'm never going to give them quarter. I'm never going to capitulate. I'm never going to say, well, I guess I was wrong. No, they can go fucking, they can fuck each other to death on live camera for the whole world to see, and I'll pay the pay-per-view price to watch it. It's just, I am not a good guy. I am not here to save you. I'm not here to do Reiki and heal you. I'm not that guy. You know what I am? I'm that shaman at the edge of the tribe who works with the scary fucking spirits of nature. That's me. I'm the one with the bone in his nose, with the ashes all over him, going, you must find your dark side. That's me. I'm that shaman. I am not the guy who's like, well, I'm going to heal you because love and light. No, that's not me. I'm the one, take the hard drugs, guy. By the way, Susan Wojcicki, that's comedy, that's satire. I don't mean that because that's illegal.
Metaphorically.
We would never tell someone, metaphorically speaking. I'm the one who's going to tell you to take that black mushroom, right? So, I'm not the one that gives you the easy ride. But I'm a lot gentler than I sound, ultimately.
Yeah, I can back that up.
Blade and Cloak said, you forgot, I hope they fight and both sides win. Yeah, I hope they fight to the death and both sides win. In a cage match.
Oh, fuck. I just misread the name. I thought somebody was in here with the name Susan Wojcicki. That, you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, Susan
It's gotta be that. That's a good
Wojcicki.
Troll. But I just misread fucking dyslexia.
Why, there is someone in here with that name? I don't see him?
No, I just misread it.
Oh, that would be great if somebody wants to make that account and just show up and scare the crap out of everybody.
And make
That'd be
my
hilarious.
whole account right now. So next question we have is from Julianne Colosi. I hope I pronounced that correctly. What is your opinion on the scientific multiverse theory? I think they claim that there's only one reality with the... Did I read that right? Yeah, I think they claim that there's only one reality with the exact opposite physics as this reality's.
So this
you
is
see
going.
why
I
I
might
brought
need
out
all
the
3 of those
tokens.
bubbles. Yeah, I might run out the tokens. I will once again point to the very last video that I did. If you haven't watched it, this is really funny because are people watching these things? I don't know. If you guys
It's
watch
like I
my
said,
channel,
they just need to hear it a certain way.
I guess so. No, I don't mean that in a rude way. I'm like,
Yeah.
like I feel like did everybody watch that and just want me to go over it again? Because like I don't mean that in a nasty way. I just mean like it's funny. Like it's almost synchronistic that you guys are asking me these questions. Is what I'm getting at. Go back to my very last video, The Open Secret of Magic, and I touch very much on this subject that you just brought up too. So my current understanding of how magic works is that you are not changing reality, you are changing realities. So you're not, even when I pick up this lighter and move it around, I'm not literally picking up a lighter and moving it around. What's happening is there's an infinite number of multiverses, okay? And an object that is just like this lighter exists in all of them. And in every position between here and here, there is a lighter in every possible position between them. And my consciousness travels through the multiverse according to a rational pattern of linear potential. Because that's what my consciousness wants to do, because that's what makes sense. So I've got a perceptual reality which I think is real, so it's going to follow a linear course through what's possible in that pattern. And so when I move this lighter from here to here, I'm not actually moving the lighter from here to here. That lighter never moves. That lighter is bang, that's where it is. What's happening is my consciousness is moving to the next reality where it's here, and then 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 here. And what happens, it's like watching a movie. Consciousness is basically watching a movie of the multiverse. And time is an illusion. Time is static. Time is now. It's always now, no matter when it is. So what's moving is your consciousness is moving its attention between the multiversal coordinates. Let's call it chaos, shall we? Let's call it primordial chaos. Infinite primordial chaos filled with all possibility. Your consciousness is moving through that, creating the illusion of events and places and time. Damian Draco calls it quantum superposition. Exactly. So that is the fundamental understanding of a multiverse, when also imbued with this spiritual connotation. In science hasn't quite gotten to the point where they understand consciousness at all, so they don't really include that in their scientific understanding. Consciousness is just something the body does. They've got that ass backwards. The body is something consciousness identifies. It's completely reversed. You're not a body with a soul. You are the infinite consciousness with an identity that is transfixed on a body, and that body is within itself. It's like looking at your fingernail and going, that's me, I'm the fingernail, that's what I am, and totally ignoring the rest of this. So that doesn't just happen here, it happens in the multiversal perspective. Now you bring up a part of that, but it's really important that people really understand the multiverse principle, because it is, in my opinion, and my non-dual understanding as fact, the only explanation that works. It is literally what reality must be in the higher order sense. That's what chaos is the multiverse. And the multiverse is just a fucking word. You can call it the universe, but the universe is just so big that there's infinite iterations of all of us. If our universe is infinite or nearly so in size, and every inch is filled the way it is that we understand it, if you go far enough in any direction, you will eventually find yourself again. Because eventually the pattern of all particles will have to repeat, because there's only so many ways that particles can configure themselves before they repeat. Yes, it's a lot because there's a lot of potential, but it's not infinite. It is a big circle. So if the universe is infinite in size, inevitably everything repeats over and over and over again, with some minor variations, until that repeats over, until, so you eventually get like 3 3 3 3 3 3 3 3 with the little line. Eventually or 3.14, and we don't know what comes after 20 some odd digits or whatever. Pi like being like the universe. It's an infinite number, and within that number is the code for the universe. That's literally it.
It's the Library of Babel.
Yeah, it's literally it. So this multiverse universe thing is the Brahman. It's chaos. It is the ultimate nature of reality. Your consciousness is also infinite and contains all of this. However, your mind, which is a function, it's an activity of consciousness, is a directional spotlight, it's like your eyes. Your mind is not your brain. Don't get them twisted. Your mind and your brain are not the same. Science thinks they are because they're dumb. They don't quite understand yet that the brain is a materialistically predictable object.
They're going at it with
function,
certain axioms.
Yeah, and the brain is a function of causality as we understand it. The mind is, in the metaphysical sense, not the brain. The brain is something the mind is focused on. Please say that with me for a moment. Repeat after me. The brain is something the thoughts and all of that is something the brain's doing. The mind is what is focused on that like a spotlight. The mind is a search device. It's like blinders. The mind is ignorance, ultimately, because it separates itself from what it is. It limits itself to a smaller understanding of itself. So if you're infinite consciousness, the mind is a small keyhole through which infinite consciousness sees itself. So as you're looking through that keyhole can shift through all of this shit and identify itself with the thing it's looking at. So you're looking at this object that you think is you, and you're reifying it out of the ether of chaos. It's literally a Rorschach ink blot, and you're reifying this thing into existence. In so doing, you are limiting yourself to seeing only one possible universe at a time. So you have this limited little universe. Now, the second part of your question had to do with an inversion of physical law. Now, here's the thing with physical law. Physical law, as we understand it, can definitely have different values. In fact, we're pretty sure that our universe exists in a quantum state which is not at its lowest potential energy. Meaning that there could be something called quantum vacuum decay, which changes the value, I believe it's the Higgs boson, the Higgs field, could be at a lower energy state, potentially. Which means that sooner or later, due to the quantum effect of quantum tunneling, it is not just possible, but inevitable that Higgs field will drop to a lower energy state, who knows how much lower, even a fraction of a value, even just one little, notch lower, would completely overwrite all of the physics of the universe, and the universe would vanish. Literally, the nothing from Neverending Story would happen everywhere. But it would start in a very local space and spread out at the speed of light. So the good news is, if it's far enough away, it will literally never get here because space is expanding faster than the speed of light at a certain distance. So literally, if it's like on the other side of the visible universe, you could have quantum vacuum decay start, and it wouldn't ever get here, ever. It would be a pocket of null universe that would never matter. But that's the point, is yes, you could have a universe with different physics, even with what we know. It is potentially possible. Because that null universe, that vacuum state that would happen, would literally be a new Big Bang of its own, just with completely different physics. Maybe it would never have stars. Maybe it would just be emptiness. We don't know what it would be, but it would be something completely unrelatable to our reality. So what you're talking about is like the Stranger Things upside down, if you will, because it's a reverse of our physics. That is not, to my understanding in science, tenable. It's not really what, up doesn't become down and gravity becomes a push, and that's not really what it means. But it is plausible. Now, here's why that's important. let's say there is only one possible
Where?
set of physical laws. I'm taking up a pentagram.
All right, sounds good.
Let's say there's only one possible number of, one possible umbrella law of physics, and they can't go any other way. Yes, Lolan Asin, space does expand faster than speed. Look it up. Space is the only thing that can go faster than speed of light. I am not wrong. I could have been a physics major. I just don't know math very well. So if the laws of physics as we understand it are the laws of physics, and there's no other, version of that possible, that's important, because if there's a multiverse, that means that there is a limited number of multiverses, because eventually they'd start repeating exactly the same, because there'd be no way for things to be that different. They would literally be exactly the same eventually. We don't know the exact number. It would be some huge, grotesque number that we could never fathom. A computer could figure it out, but I couldn't. A 1 with a couple thousand zeros behind it, maybe. I don't know. That many universes. I have no fucking clue. But it would be really fucking big. If the laws of physics can be varied, even by a little bit, then that means you can have a universe for each possible variation in physics as well. So that means however many number of universes you can have based on what we have, you can now have another set of universes based on those laws of physics too. And another set, and another set. And if the laws of physics can be varied infinitely, then Sally bar the door, it's over. It might as well be zero. That's how big it is. It has no definable meaning. Even infinity is too small for that number. It's like infinity times infinity times infinity times infinity to the infinitieth degree. It's an irrational, it's complete. I mean, it's like dividing by zero. Your computer blows up. It doesn't make any sense.
Just cannot fucking compute. This is ununderstandable.
So, consider that. And when you plug that into the Advaita Vedanta understanding of Brahman, or the ancient understanding of chaos, or the monad and the demiurge, when you plug this physicality in and you realize that's the material side of something, there's an astral version of that understanding as well. When you understand that this is the shadow of the truth, if your mind's not fucking totally blown, even without chemical assistance, I can't help you. Because to me, that is the stuff that just convinces me, even if I didn't know anything, even if I never had a non-dual experience, that stuff alone convinces me. Just knowing that, even if I was a pure materialist, just knowing those things I just said would give me a hope and an understanding. I'd basically be spiritual in a sense anyway. Like Carl Sagan, totally atheistic, but that motherfucker talked about God more than a preacher sometimes. So don't disregard science. Don't put them at odds with each other. They don't just play well with each other. They go together. Magic does not violate the laws of nature. Magic is not a force. Stop trying to compete with science. Stop trying to make magic science. Not only will you fail, but you're just pushing magic into the Stone Age of understanding further. I know that's an unpopular opinion. I know I'm going to get some KOs who come in here. How dare you say that magic is absolutely a science? I have a sigil that said so. And then go take the James Randi challenge, motherfucker. And when you win, take me on a steak dinner just to prove me wrong. I'll pay for it.
I really feel like it's looking at the same thing with completely different lens. And if you're trying to apply these things, if you're trying to play the exact same game but with a different lens, then you're just going to fail.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I also think it's like jealousy, because that's what science has done. Science at one point in history was the bad guy. okay, in the Dark Ages and the Middle Ages. And I say this all the time lately because it's a mind-blowing understanding. Once upon a time, the religious type of people, we'll say the Catholic Church, had a doctrine that said that the earth was the center of the universe because man was God's creation and earth was God's creation and God was focused on earth and earth was the center of the universe, period, done, completed, and don't you dare say otherwise. So people got burnt at the stake for showing the heresy of the potential that the earth wasn't the center of God's universe. I think it's a little more complicated than that. Sometimes science kind of oversimplifies it. I think the church had a different reason for it, but close enough. So over time, science was able to prove that the earth is not the center of the universe because the earth is orbiting around the sun. Oh, Hosanna! Christ is wrong. The church is wrong. All of you spiritually woo people, the atheists are right and you're wrong. Ha ha! Dunk, slam, I got you. There is no God because the earth isn't the center, the sun is. Okay, so we went forward in time. Give it another couple hundred years, and what do we find out? Well, those other lights in the sky, those are suns like ours. And we're all orbiting something, and what are we orbiting? What are we orbiting? Oh, we're orbiting around a galaxy. So the sun isn't the center of the universe either? Well, for a long time, we knew about the Milky Way as a galaxy for a while, but it wasn't long after that. Like, we thought the Milky Way was it. We didn't know that there was other galaxies. We had no idea. It wasn't until we got to Hubble that we started to understand that the Milky Way was just one galaxy, and those little smudges, Andromeda wasn't just a smudge, that was another fucking galaxy. Oh, maybe there's two galaxies. Wait, there's more than two? Next thing we know, there's how many trillions or billions of galaxies in the known universe? Which one is the center? None of them are the center. There is no center of the universe in the objective sense. Because what Hubble also began to find out was that everything is rushing away from everything at an equal speed, more or less.
There's the center of your perception.
Speed. So what science found out was every point in the universe is the center of the universe because the Big Bang happened everywhere at the same time. There is no center because, like a balloon or like a sphere or something, there is no center on the surface of a sphere. They're all functionally the center because there's no defining characteristic that makes anything the center. So what makes anything the center of the universe? Your conscious awareness of it. This is why Einstein's relativity was so groundbreaking, because somewhere in the back of his stupid brain, he realized that things physically are different in a relativistic way, meaning the observer's experience does matter. If you have two things moving in a straight line together, their reference frames are pretty much equal. And the movement gives them a relative perspective on the universe. But if they change their velocities just a little bit, they don't share a reference frame anymore. Einstein understood that. Here's the thing. When Einstein says that, you know, it's all about relativity and your whatever it is that we're talking about, time, gravity, movement, whatever it is that's in a reference frame in relativistic physics. What is the observer he's talking about in relativity? If this lighter is made up of a trillion, billion, trillion particles, which one of those is the observer for this? None of them. They're all entangled. But they become the observer. At any point, any one of them is the observer. And they have a consensual relationship, if you will. They are locked together by the forces. And so they share the experience in a way. So they become the observer as one. Listen to me, guys. Every point in the universe is the center of the universe. That means, Flesh Priest, you are the center of the universe. Ajna, you are the center of the universe. Give me death or freedom, you're the center of the universe. Unnamed viewer, you are the center of the universe. Where else would God be except always at the center of the universe? Science got its ass kicked because the theists said God would always be focused on the center of the universe. Everywhere is the fucking center of the universe. If that doesn't send chills up your spine to think about, I don't know. I can't help you. I can't. To me, that's magic right there. Bang. That's magic.
Ooh, do you want to use another token, or do you want to?
I'm good. I'm good. How many I got left?
That seemed like a perfect wrap-up point to me. So, and timer just went off. You still got 2 more. Still got 2 more, and we have how many?
Lowland Unseen is trying to argue. He's saying relativity space is yes, space is expand. That's what I said. Space is expanding faster than the speed of light. That means that 2 objects separated by a far enough distance are traveling away from each other because space is moving. You say objects. Obviously, objects can't move faster than the speed of light, but space can. So when you have 2 galaxies that are a sufficiently far enough distance apart, they are receding away from each other in literal distance faster than the speed of light. The galaxies that are 98 billion light years away right now are so far away that the rate of increasing distance between us is so fast that light will never cross it. That's faster than the speed of light. So no, those galaxies are not experiencing acceleration faster than the speed of light. Space is expanding between us in a way which is greater than the speed of light can cover. From our perspective, they are receding faster than the speed of light. And yes, according to relativistic physics, space-time does not have a speed limit. Materiality within it does. This is what a warp drive is. A warp drive is a section of space that can move faster than any material that's contained in it.
You're speaking
so
my language.
If you get a little bubble of space-time, you could theoretically, because the physics says you need mass more than the universe has to create a bubble that could go faster than the speed of light. It's some ridiculous amount of mass. And it's not just mass, it's got to be exotic matter. It can't just be regular matter. It's got to be like 9th dimensional matter from that weird movie. You need some kind of weird quasi-matter that doesn't exist to create a warp bubble that could go faster than light. That doesn't mean that, trust me, space-time is twisted, literally, and it goes fucking hella fast. I love the subject of this relativistic thing, but what are we really talking about? We're talking about space-time. We're talking about the ether. So look it up. It's pretty wild. It's pretty crazy. And I think it's fascinating. Lowland SC, he says, I think Einstein was like a modern Jesus. Is Einstein a god? Actually, Tesla thought he was an idiot. If you look it up, and Einstein, I think, jokingly said that Tesla was the smartest man on earth, but he might have been serious because, Fleshy, point to something on your anywhere in your room that's electronic. That's because of Tesla. Everything, all the technology in front of you is because of Tesla, pretty much. Nothing of value in your electronic life could exist. If it's got power running through it, that's Tesla.
You can thank Tesla for teledildonics.
Yes.
Hey, you were getting a little bit too big brain for me. I need to fucking
brought it back
ground this
down.
out. Root chakras.
You rooted us out. You definitely brought us down right where we belong. Magic is right back in the ass where it belongs. Yeah. So there was a lot of big brain going on, and I hope you guys learned a little something from it. I think I'm just about out of time. Yeah, I'm out of time. So, Fleshy, let's give us a wrap up or whatever you want to do for like 5 minutes. And let's thank everybody, all the viewers at home, all the lovers and friends, all the haters who think that they made a dent in me by making my subs go up like crazy and my sales go up. How do we thank everybody?
Yeah, fucking thank you for all the publicity to those you just mentioned, and thank you everybody else for tuning in every week. We fucking love and appreciate you guys. Sorry we couldn't get to every question. Trying to pack as many in as we can, but don't always have time for all of them. And hold on, I'm gonna do my Vanna White thing real fast.
I guess he's going to display some of my crap. Ah, yes.
Oh, thank you, CM Helnikainen. He says, Mind the Shadows is made possible by viewers like you. Thank you.
And the letter fuck.
And the letter fuck. Yeah, take us back to the fucking public access bit. Yeah, if you want to support my buddy DH...
Wayne's World!
If you want to support my buddy DH, I know most of you already have and already know, but for everybody new here, you can go on Amazon and pick up some of these great paperbacks like I'm holding before me. Imperial, what the fuck?
I should make an Imperial book now just because you said that.
The
Imperial Vampire.
The Infernal Vampire Handbook. The Shadownomicon. The,
Is that porn?
The Queer Werewolves Destroy Capitalism.
I did not write that book, you motherfucker. Get that out of here.
Become the Maelstrom. Yeah, you can...
So, of those three, Become the Maelstrom is my first book. It's a very big... It's sort of like Thorne's version of the 11 Lessons of Magic or whatever. It's an all-inclusive course on non-dual demonolatry, as I understand it. And it will eventually be updated with a new version or something to add to it. I haven't quite got that figured out yet. I'll probably let that sit for a few more years, actually, now that I think about it. And my rewrite of it will just be an update at some point. And I've actually got other books I want to release first. But anyway, that's the book that sort of encompasses the basics of a lot of stuff. Not everything in there is stuff you'll recognize from any other system. That's why I do recommend it. But it is good stuff. Now, Shadownomicon has gradually become my favorite book to promote because it's probably my most original. There is no other book like it. Become the Maelstrom is pretty unique, yes, but it's pretty much all the same stuff in Magic that a lot of people might tell you, especially from a non-dual perspective and a demonolatry perspective. Shadownomicon is completely original. There's no other book like it. And the communion ritual that I put in there is actually a really good way to commune with any kind of spirit, but it's designed for the shadow people specifically. So if you're interested in the urban myth, quote-unquote urban myth, urban legend of the shadow people and want to know more about them because I dealt with them the most growing up, that is going to be a book you're going to want to read, and it's very well received. Sure, I could have a better editor. I'm my only editor, so it kind of, I could do a better job there, but I don't think it was too bad for a one-man operation. So that book really was where I locked in my writing style in a lot of ways, and I think it came out really good. And it's just the right length. It's not too long, not too short. I think it's just right.
And
so
I also want to say, if you want to hear more about the shadows and from somebody else, and also hear DH rant about the shadows, I say that with love, you all should bully CM Helnikainen to come on. I feel like I pronounce your name a different way every time, dude, and I'm sorry for that.
I think that's part of the magic, yeah.
Yeah, should bully him to come on because I know he's got some interesting stuff to say about that.
I like Helnikian. I'm just gonna say Helnikian. He can make more videos of me instead and punish me for being wrong. So those are the three books. If you don't like that, I do have a Patreon, which that's where my new stuff might get released, the free stuff. I'll do early access there. And I actually have been pretty good so far where every week I am uploading something. Just about every week. I planned on doing every week or every other week an article on Patreon if you're interested. But what I'm really using that for, the real focus of that, is I have a weekly class that happens every Monday from around 9 p.m. Eastern till around 10 or 11 Eastern. It's way more serious. It's not as goofball as this is. It's a little bit more structured. We do meditation, and it's a good class, and we've been doing really good. So that's going on every week right now. And if you can't make the class, it's recorded, so you can watch it later. There's probably close to 50 hours worth of classes at this point. So there's plenty to catch up on, really useful stuff. And I'm proud of it. So
yeah, you should be.
The good thing about that is it's $20 a month. That's like, you know, only a little bit more than your MMO, you know, your World of Warcraft subscription, and probably way more useful. So check it out if you're interested in that. I also have an Etsy store that my wife predominantly runs and makes things for. She makes mirrors for scrying. They are really freaking good mirrors. I love mine. She's got a big, beautiful one that she's working on. More will be going up pretty soon. She's always working on them, but it can take her a little while. We usually put a batch up every month. So if you don't see one now, favorite the store and come back. I also put crafts up there. I will paint and decorate, you know, resin skulls, all kinds of cool stuff. So there's always something unusual there. So check it out and give the store a favorite and sub it so that when we release something, we can dom you with that cool stuff that we've got. And of course, the very last thing would be consultations and rituals. If you want me to do ritual work for you potentially, or consultation work, there's a link in the description for that as well. You go to the Linktree link, go to my blog site where you can look up my offerings for services. I think that's everything.
Yeah.
I guess that's everything.
I guess it was pointed out there is one. I kind of sort of have a personal plug that I'll throw in here. Yeah, if you want to hear my music and, you know, I guess hear about occultism and shit like that, CM Helnikainen. You can go watch his video on King Paimon tomorrow, and that music that you'll hear at the beginning is done by me. So
awesome. That sounds cool. We are going to have him on soon, but he was almost on fire recently, and then he had like all kinds of crap going on. So we're gonna I don't know when now, because we were going to have him last week.
Are tumultuous. So
yeah, and I've got a scheduled guest for sure next week, unless maybe they would work well together. Maybe that would be fine to do. Maybe him and Chthonic Tonic could talk. We'll see. So I'll run it past him, see if he wants to do it. Yeah, so that's important. I also have a Teespring. If you like this tapestry, by the way, there's different versions of it available on my Teespring. So I'm pretty proud of my tapestries. They're pretty cool. So I've got quite a few. Well, I've got like 3 specifically, but I've got some, and we got t-shirts and all kinds of crap. So merch, guys, merch. This is my job. Yeah. This is my life. Forgive me for being a shill at this point, but, or whatever that would be. Am I a shill or a grifter?
Gotta
Which is it?
I don't know. I just call you DH.
I mean, if you're okay with it, with your werewolf communism, then it's probably not that bad.
Hey man, I can hope for a different world, but right now this is the one that we're living in. Gonna make magic work for me until I get those big Dami
You don't
werewolves.
really believe in it. If you should be living in Chad then, my friend. Or Chaz.
I want Chad to live in me. That's the main werewolf.
Ooh, yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, I hear my wife is reading
that
a
seems
romance
like a good place to end it.
Story.
That's
I think we're
that's
good.
a good climax.
I think we're good. I think. Oh, we're going to the climax thing again. Oh man. And it's over.
Mind the motherfucking shadows. Oh.